Hi everyone, welcome to TNC presentation. Today we would like to introduce to you a wonderful book for creating your own leadership style, which can bring to you amazing results and build a great team for your business. This book called Radical Candor, How to Be a Kick Expert, written by Kim Scott. This book is also one of the New York Times bestseller. With this book, we hope that you can define your own definition about how to become a good boss. TNC team will cover and present Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, starting with the basic definition of radical candor. Now, let's get started with Chapter 1, Build Radically Candid Relationship. The Chapter 1 started when Kim Scott set up your software company in 2000 and she felt stressed at that time. Her engineer had to work nights and weekends to have a beta version for a new product, which had to be ready in a week. If customers agreed to use their product, they could get more revenue to run the business. Otherwise, they could run out of money in 6 months. Unfortunately, the night before, one investor told her that their pricing was wrong. However, Kim could not go to sales team and Discord or change everything just based on her thought. So, she thinks that she needs to sit down and do some analysis and clear all the meeting tomorrow morning. However, on the next day, while she got only few steps into her office, a colleague suddenly ran up and needed to talk to her right away about his kidney transplant. He was freaking out and she had to calm him down by 2 cups of tea. And the son of another colleague also had the same issues and his son was in hospital. He shared with Kim the night had gone and she convinced him to leave the office and go in taking care of his son. After hearing two bad news, Kim also received better news from another colleague that his daughter getting the highest score in the math examination. Her emotion whiplash as she jumped from sympathy to celebration. By the time Kim get back to her desk and had no time or emotional to think about the pricing, since her brain always think about those colleagues. Later that day, she raised a complaint and asked her CEO coach Leslie, is her job to build a great company or should I need to become a baby sister? Leslie told her that it is core management and he is her job. So, what did you take away from this story? Normally, we always undervalue the emotional labor when become a boss, but this term really important for people who work in service or health industry. This emotional labor is not just a part of the job, it is a key to being a good boss. And the question Kim always receives is how to be a good boss. She found out 3 areas of responsibility that a manager has to do. The first one is creating culture of guidance. You need to give feedback, both praise and criticism to your team. The second is team building. You should know what motivates each person in your team. And the third is driving results collaboratively. Defining relationship between guidance, team building and result is important. They are deeply personal and not like any other relationship in your life. And radical candor is a basic concept which is mentioned in this book can help to guide you. The first step before we are going to deeply that we need to understand what is radical candor is. Radical candor is happen when you put care personally and challenge directly together. It builds trust and opens the door for the kind of communication that helps you achieve the result you're aiming for. When radical candor is encouraged and supported by the boss, our staff begin to love not just their love but whom they work and where they work. And people love their job, the whole team is more successful. Let I share with you more detail about 2 parts of radical candor. The first one is care personally. Care personally is not about memorizing birthday or name of family members. It's not about sharing the sordid detail of one personal life or fraud each other social events. It is about doing the thing you already know how to do, finding time for real conversations, about getting to know each other at human level, about learning what's important to people, about sharing with one another what makes us want to get out of bed in the morning and go to work and what has the opposite effect. Kim's first lesson about why care personally is important in radical candor took place in Moscow when she was working for a New York diamond company which would not match with her education, Russian literature. She had to hire 10 of the world's best diamond cutters as her mission. She had to convince these people to leave the state-owned Russian factory with the offer that her company could pay a lot of US dollars for them, and she thought that it showed how she motivated them. However, it was totally wrong. They just want to have a picnic. So Kim prepared a picnic with them and said with them that their first assignment is to cut 100-carat diamond into a pair of earrings. Kim also said with them about the laser to cut diamond. She promised to take them to Israel to see the latest technology. The diamond cutter want to learn English. Kim promised to teach them by herself in the lunchtime together every week. And another question came, if everything went to the house in Russia, could Kim get them and their family out of there? Kim understood that these were the only questions that really mattered. Finally, 10 diamond cutters took the job. 2 years after that picnic, Kim had arranged for 10 diamond cutters first travel outside their homeland, help them to understand the difference between the world they saw and what their Soviet education had led them to expect, improve their English and hang out with their family. They had cut diamond for Kim companies that sold in excess of 100 billion per year. The second part is challenge directly. Challenge others and encourage them to challenge you. Have built trusting relationship because it's so you care enough to point out both the things that aren't going well. You're willing to admit when you are wrong and that you're committed to fix the mistake that you or the other have made. Challenging often involves disagree or saying no. Challenge directly approach embrace conflict rather than avoid it. Being responsible sometimes means pissing people off. You have to accept that sometimes people on your team will be mad at you. In fact, if nobody is ever mad at you, you probably aren't challenging your team enough. Now, we move to chapter 2, Get, Give and Encourage Guidance. Kim will share with us more detail on how to deliver right radical candor, which will combine between care personally and challenge directly, and what happens if we fail those two requirements. Let's start with interesting story. When Kim finished her presentation about the performance of Essence for Good Girl CEO and founder, she felt really good about the presentation, especially when Kim declared how many new customers had signed up in the past month. The CEO almost fell off his chair when he first heard about the figure and quickly asked Kim what is the result they could give her team to help them continue this amazing success. After complete the presentation successfully, Kim thinks that she could receive a high five from her boss named Cheryl. However, Cheryl asked her to walk back to the office, which made Kim quite surprised and nervous. You are going to have an amazing career here at Google. I have learned a lot today from the way you handle the presentation and some related questions. The way Cheryl stopped and looked at Kim in the eye made her feel that Cheryl really meant it. However, in her head, Kim still wondered what is the feedback Cheryl would like to give her. What has she done wrong? You said a lot, and Cheryl asked Kim, "Does she aware of this? Was it because she's nervous?" At first, Kim confidently said that she did not feel nervous at all. She thought that was like verbal tick, and it should not a big problem as she already had a successful presentation with the CEO. But Cheryl continued with her feedback. There is no reason to let a small thing like verbal tick trip you up. Kim made another shoe-fly gesture with her hand. This is the time Cheryl decided that she had to be more direct to get Kim's attention. Cheryl told that, "When you do that thing with your hand, I feel like you are ignoring what I'm telling you. You are one of the smartest people I know, but saying so much makes you sound stupid." Now, Cheryl got Kim's attention. Cheryl repeated her offer with speaking coach that really can help with the thing. Take away from this story, the radical candor boss will not let the positive result get in the way of pointing out something needs to be fixed. They did it immediately so that the problem will not hurt their team member reputation. They also did not personalize the feedback. As Kim's story, Cheryl commented that Kim sounds stupid, not she was stupid. This conversation was very effective. First, it made Kim solve the problem. Secondly, it made Kim appreciate Cheryl and inspire her to give better guidance to her team. There are two dimensions that Cheryl applied when she offered the guidance to Kim: care personally and challenge directly. When you do both at the same time, it's called radical candor. Radical candor doesn't only come at work. Sometimes it can turn out like by a stranger offer if you are listening. Kim shared with us another story which happened to her shortly after she adopted a golden puppy. Kim's instruction and guidance to her dog are always sweet. She treats the dog with kindness, and day by day it's become a draw and spoil the dog. The dog was completely out of Kim's control. She finds a hard time to control her dog when they cross the street. The dog keeps pulling her to the street even though the car was speeding by only a few feet in front of them. There is a stranger give Kim direct challenge when he saw the situation, and Kim considered it to be a perfect example of radical candor. The stranger looked over Kim and said, "I can see you really love your dog." He's okay by not judging Kim, but he also gave out direct challenge that the dog will die if you don't teach her to sit. Then he pointed out his finger to the dog and said loudly, "Sit." The man smiled and explained to Kim that his instruction to the good that is not mean, it's clear. Think about how this situation, the man could have easily said something judgment, which led Kim defensive and unwilling to take his advice. Instead, he acknowledged her love for the dog and explained to Kim why he gave that recommendation. That incident at the crosswalk taught us that you don't have to spend a lot of time to get to know a person or building trust before offering radical candor guidance. In fact, a great way to get to know somebody and build trust is offering radical candor praise and criticism. So how we can apply radical candor to praise or criticize? When you praise someone, giving them meaningful and sincerity with reason, why you admire them, or praising them which specific thing they have done. And for criticism, similar with Kim's story for her presentation with Google CEO, whenever we achieve something successful, we seem live in the praise moment and forget to look back to find out what we can improve on our win to make it better. It is a time for a radical candor boss to criticize to keep winning as what Soro have done with Kim. The problem of living at the top of a hill is that you always have to walk uphill just to get back home. The next quadrant we will explain is obnoxious aggression. When you criticize someone without showing your care, your guidance feels obnoxious aggressive to the recipient. When boss belittle employees, impress them publicly or free them out, their behavior falls into this quadrant. Being obnoxious aggressive is the second best thing you can do. At least people will know what you think and where they stand, so your team can achieve the result. This explains the advantage that assholes seem to have in the world. Most people would rather work for a competent asshole than a nice incompetent. To describe how obnoxious aggressive behavior for criticism, Kim has said the story when she worked a couple months after joining Google. At that time, she sent out a disagreement email to Larry Page, one of her colleagues, about his approach. With her frustration, Kim sent an email to about 30 people, including Larry, which said he was recommending the wrong policy because he was focused on increasing Google revenue rather than doing the right thing for the user. The first problem with her email was that it was humble. She just joined company and she didn't understand about how Google system works. Nor she didn't find out why Larry might be taking the stand he was taking. She made a bold assumption that Larry was more concerned with making money than Google mission. The other miscalculation was she criticized Larry in public forum rather than in private, and worst of all, she personalized. She attacked Larry's character, accusing him of being greedy and hypocritical. To sum up, obnoxious aggressive criticism is a behavior, not a personality trait. All of us can be obnoxiously aggressive some of the time if we don't care personally. Boss who have an obnoxious aggressive praise, they hard gather the information by asking all the managers who work with them to send them a justification. But they don't care so little about the people that they want to praise and not even bother to read the justification. They just simply copy and paste into a praise email and fire it up. Because of this, sometimes praising will include the private compensation and incorrect information. It made the staff feel worse rather than better. The third quadrant is manipulative insincerity. Manipulative insincerity happens when you don't care enough about a person to challenge directly. People give praise and criticism. That is manipulative insincerity when you are too focused on being lied or think that they can gain some sort of political advantage by being fake, or they are just not too tired to care or argue anymore. When you are over worried about how people will perceive you, you're less willing to say what needs to be said. You might feel that you care about your team, but really you care too much about how they feel about yourself. Going back to Kim's obnoxious aggression email to Larry Page, after sending it out, a couple people called her why the hell she would send it. She did not understand why her assessment of Larry's news policy was wrong, but she was more concerned about keeping her job. So in the next time when she saw Larry, she stopped him and simply said sorry without explanation. Her insincerity was obvious and this was exactly the wrong move. After her apology, Larry said nothing and just walked away because he liked it better when Kim disagreed with him. When you behave badly and get called out for it, a true natural response is to become less genuine and more political, to move from obnoxious aggressive to a role-played, manipulative insincerity. The last quadrant is ruinous empathy. Ruinous empathy is responsible for the vast majority of management mistakes. Most people want to avoid creating tension or discomfort at work. They are like the well-meaning parent who cannot bear to discipline their kids. Ruinous empathy can also prevent a boss from being asked for criticism. Instead of pushing through the discomfort to get an employee to challenge them, bosses who are being ruinous empathic may be so eager to ease awkwardness that they can simply let the matter drop. They also create the kind of work environment where being nice is prioritized. Bosses often make the mistake of thinking that if they hang out in the ruinous empathy quadrant, they can build a relationship with their direct report, then move over to radical candor. They are pleasant to work with, but as the time goes by, employees will start to realize that the only guidance they receive is good job or the other positive comment. They know they done something wrong, but they're not sure what exactly. Their direct report will never know where they stand, and they're not given an opportunity to lean or grow. Now we will know about how to move toward to radical candor. We start by asking for criticism, not by giving it, because first, it's so that you are aware that you're often wrong and you want to hear about it, you want to be challenged. Secondly, you will learn a lot from those people who report to you. Thirdly, the more first-hand experience you have with how it feels to receive criticism, the better idea you have of how your own guidance lands for the other. Fourthly, asking for criticism is a great way to build trust and strengthen your relationship. We also need to balance the praise and criticism. We learn more from our mistakes than our success, more from the criticism than the praise. Then, is it important to give more praise and criticism? Yes, because it guides people in the direction. And secondly, it encourages people to keep improving. Praise does a lot more than just make people feel good. It can actually challenge them directly. So when you criticize, try to be less nervous, focus on just say it. If you think too much about how to say it, you might say nothing. And when you praise, try to be at least aware how the praise can go wrong and put more energy into thinking about how to say it. To see how to apply radical candor framework to giving guidance, imagine a simple scenario. A colleague of Kim named Alex has walked out the restroom. The fly is down, the shirt tail sticking out the front. What do you say? You know Alex will be embarrassed when you point out the zipper, but if you say nothing, 10 more people will probably see it. So you pull out Alex aside and quietly say, "Hey Alex, your fly is down." Your behavior is in the radical candor quadrant, both caring personally and challenge directly. If on the other hand, you point out Alex flies loudly in front of the other people, trying to be funny by intentionally humiliating Alex, your behavior is in the obnoxious aggression quadrant. If you know Alex is shy and will be embarrassed, maybe you decide to say nothing and hope Alex notices the fly without just saying. This behavior puts you in the ruinous empathy. Finally, imagine you decide not to say anything because you're thinking about your own feeling and reputation. You are silent not because you're concerned for Alex, but because you want to spare yourself. You're worried that Alex won't like you if you say something. You're worried if people overhear you saying something to Alex, they will judge you. So, you walk on by and say nothing. Your behavior is in the worst quadrant, manipulative insincerity. If you are imagining you are about to say and see that it's going to land in one of these bad quadrant, it will help you to move toward to radical candor. This is the end of our presentation and hope that you understand and love to dig in this book deeply. Thank you for your listening.